chased by the deep state, fighting for independence, thinking about revolution, looking for alternative solutions. The enemies of the deep state will tell you what others even don't dare to think. Manuel Ochsenreiter and Mateusz Piskorski.
Hello, hello, hello. Here is the Geopolitical Podcast, Die guten Menschen, Public Enemies of the Deep State. My name is Manuel Ochsenreiter. I'm editor-in-chief of the German news magazine Zuerst, sitting now since almost 2 months in the Corona bunker and keeping contact with Mateusz Piskorski on the other side, who is also in a bunker. Hello, Mateusz.
Yes. Hello from another bunker in Poland.
So this is, I think we are in the meantime the Bunker Podcast, and I think we are today with our topic. Also, I think it's a very important thing in a bunker to watch TV and to watch movies. And I don't know, I'm sure you saw it as well while switching through the channels some days ago. There was a very interesting movie on Russia Today, and we spoke about it already. The name is Shugaley. It is a Russian movie about a real story of two Russian sociologists, which were kidnapped in Libya by Islamist forces and are there in prison until today. And that movie came and was presenting their fate in a way. I have to say, I just know it from expensive Hollywood movies with a lot of special effects, with a lot of boom and flashes and very, very intense scenes of torture, and I mean a movie drama which included everything. And I know that you watched it too. What were your thoughts?
Well, first and foremost, it's a completely new formula of showing to the broader audience, to the broader public, the really existing problems, yes, because it's not a documentary, as a documentary could be more or less boring for several people who principally do not watch any documentaries, but it is a clear reaction to an existing problem, yes, an existing problem, which is the fact that you have mentioned the people, I mean the two citizens of Russia are still illegally kept by the so-called special forces of the Fayez Sarraj government in Tripoli. So this is a kind of, let's say, blitz reaction to an existing problem, and perhaps an appeal to the public all over the world. Yes, because as far as I know, it has been watched for the moment being by several, let's say, experts and opinion makers in different countries all over the world. To show that there is such a problem, yes, to make people aware of such a thing. So in this particular case, I think that on the one hand, of course, we have a good action movie. On the other hand, we have a new, let's say, idea to use an action movie for, I don't know, collecting international public support for different solutions for liberating the people who were kidnapped and so on. So it's completely new when it comes to the idea as such. I think, yes, and it's definitely, I'm convinced that it will be definitely more effective, more efficient than an ordinary documentary. Just could be done.
Let us put it in a nutshell, Mateusz. When I watched this movie, I was sure this is made not just for the political geeks, people like you and me. This is a movie which will be watched by many other people, and I immediately. By so-called ordinary people. I had immediately, I know the movie itself has not so many parallels, but I had immediately to think about the Rambo series or the Rambo movies in US, and I think you remember very well. There was one, I don't know which part, the Rambo movie in Afghanistan, when he was in Afghanistan and they're fighting together with the Mujahideen against the Soviets. I'm pretty much sure that a big part of the audience in the cinemas didn't know anything about the Soviet presence in Afghanistan. They didn't know anything about the American support for the Mujahideen fighters in Afghanistan. Maybe they didn't even know that there was a war in Afghanistan, because it is totally out of their interest. But I think also that movie a little bit made more people know where they find Afghanistan on a globe. What do you think?
Well, in times when it was shown for the first time, it was in the 80s, if I'm right, yes. There was no internet, yes, so people could hardly check where is Afghanistan. But nevertheless, the message they got, the very simplistic message they got, was that there is a U.S. hero, an individual from U.S., a citizen of United States, who fights the evil Soviets or the other evil forces in the world. Yes, so. As you have once mentioned, I think that it was quite an efficient tool to shape the general public opinion about Soviet Union, not about Afghanistan as a problem, not about the war in Afghanistan, about the situation there, but just about Soviet Union at that time. So it was designed and directed just to give a blow to Russia or to then Soviet Union by the United States within a kind of war of different images, of international images of the states during the times of the Cold War, as well as many other movies, the American, the British, mostly the American, but the British as well, as the movies about James Bond and so on. So it was a really effective tool at that time, yes. But if you compare, by the way, Shugaley with another movies like that, I mean the action movies, I would rather compare it to a great Russian movie which was filmed around 10 years ago. It was called Kandahar. It was actually about Afghanistan, but it was more ambitious than the American products, yes, than the American movie industry products. So
very hard to achieve.
So yes, so Shugaley is closer, I guess, to Kandahar movie, also the Russian one, than to the American, Rambo or other production of this type. Yes.
No, I compared it not now by content. I compared it simply by attracting a mass audience to watch a good movie, at the same time to inform it about a certain geopolitical conflict or about a certain conflict. So that is what I meant. And
exactly. But once again, Rambo would not be possible, and its efficiency would not be so high in shaping public opinion in the West if there would be internet at that time. Yes, because now.
I hate that role. I hate that role you give me now, that I am sitting here and I have to defend John Rambo. I hate that. I don't feel comfortable.
I know that from the American actors you prefer Arnold Schwarzenegger, but anyway, let's focus on Stallone today. Yes.
Yes. No, but you mentioned another series, and that is James Bond, and I need to ask you now: was there any time a Polish villain in James Bond?
No, but there were several Eastern European or even Central European villains in James Bond. I even don't remember the names of or the countries who weren't even named there in the movie.
I thought all villains are either Chinese, German, or Russian. I always
No. The Eastern Bloc as such, I mean the Warsaw Pact countries and so on, we were all the villains at that time. Yes. So I think that well, in some cases, by the way, we are. For some of the movie industry, we are still the villains. Have you watched quite a relatively new movie called Hostel?
Yes, but tell me more about.
So you remember which country was presented there with the SM practices and things like that, with kidnappings? It was Slovakia. By the way, Slovakia reacted on the official level on that, but the association and the general image of Eastern Europe, of the former Eastern Bloc in US film industry is that, well, perhaps now we are not the villains as we are the allies, yes, theoretically, but we are the barbarians, yes, the barbarians from the East.
I agree.
So yeah, I know that.
I'm now with John Rambo. Don't forget.
You know why? Because you lived in the western part of Germany, not in the eastern. In the eastern, you would be your identity would be formed and shaped by Soviet and Polish movies of that time, and your opinion would be different. Yes.
Let us speak about the James Bond villain who always fascinated me, because really I was always thinking about what is his heritage, his cultural, national, ethnical, and I'm sure you know already who I mean. I mean Ernst Stavro Blofeld. Who is that guy?
Yes.
I mean, I like the White Cat, of course. We all like it, but you know, I mean, what Stavro? That sounds like a Slavic name. Ernst is a German name.
Yes. So it was a mix of all villains from Central and Eastern Europe, I guess. Yes.
And Blofeld could be a hint to an ethnicity which has a little state at the Mediterranean. I don't want now to empathize, but
yes,
Blofeld is at the same time, and I was really researching that, a city or a village in Hessen, in Germany. So
I think the authors were not thinking about the small nation, the Mediterranean.
They were thinking about a small village in Hessen, you think, right?
Yes, I guess so. I don't know why you should study more about this small village in Hessen. Perhaps there is something hidden in it and its population, but anyway, I guess that this was the thing they wanted to achieve. Yeah. Yes, so of course the villains after the Second World War, the villains were the Germans, then the Soviets, all the Easterners. And by the way, it's quite geopolitically clear, yes. So all the villains came from Eurasia, from the great continent, yes.
Yes. And what is also interesting when it comes to the historical judgment of historical events. I'm also sure you saw the movie. I think in English the title was The Soldier Saving James Ryan, the movie about the D-Day. So in my opinion, I don't know if you agree. I mean, this was it a Steven Spielberg movie? I think so, even, right?
Yes. It was Spielberg's movie.
It was
exactly.
A technically perfect screen epos dedicated to the D-Day, with a story about this soldier James Ryan. The Americans are somewhere searching, that they bring him back home to his mother. So we have a lot of Western Allied heroes, a lot of evil German soldiers, but I think it had two directions. It was on the one side, of course, to show the Americans what great heroes they were, but on the other side, it was also to empathize from Western perspective that the D-Day was the game changer, allegedly the game changer for World War II. What do you think?
Yes, exactly. It was a kind of historical propaganda as well. Very effective, by the way. And, still a lot of Europeans from different countries, particularly young people, are talking about the liberation of Europe by the Americans and so on, yes? And this is not because they read books. I mean, there were, of course, tens of hundreds of books written by the US and British who overemphasized, to say the least, the significance of US and Anglo-Saxon troops during the Second World War. But this is the result of such movies and the story of Soldier Ryan, yes, known worldwide. So I guess that, well, on the other hand, I guess that the most important topic is a topic of, or a question of how we could counter that influence, yes. And I see here two ways. On the one hand, there are still some independent film directors in the American film industry, yes. I think you will agree with me that
yes.
some of them are even trying to show this absurd of the American self-identity and so on. I think, for instance, let's say more ambitious filmmakers like the Coen Brothers and so on, yes. On the other hand, I guess that we should think, and some countries already are doing that, about giving and presenting an alternative. I mean, the Russians are trying to do that, not always very successfully, because, for instance, one of their biggest movies about the Second World War was Stalingrad. Have you watched it?
Not the Russian movie. I know the German movie, Stalingrad.
The German was really brilliant, yes. And perfect. But I mean the Russian one, so it was exactly, it was like Rambo style, yes. The main thing in the American movies, in all the movies we have mentioned, is the individualism, by the way. Have you noticed? I mean, you have always one hero who is saving the world and so on.
Also in Saving Private Ryan. Private Ryan.
Exactly. Exactly. So this is a reflection, a perfect reflection of the difference between, let's say, more collectivist or communitarian mentality and identity of continental Eurasia and the individualistic or even egoistic mentality of the United States and Anglo-Saxon world, even portrayed in the movies. Yes, it's a good example, by the way.
Even when you speak now about individualism now, and we have to say it for the audience, Mateusz and I, we didn't discuss before the show the movies we are discussing now, so it cannot be that if I ask Mateusz, did you see that movie, that he says simply no, and then I'm trapped. Then I have to tell. But I But I will. By the way, I will in the description of the video I will mention all the movies. But because you mentioned the individualism in these political or geopolitical Hollywood movies, I'm not sure if you saw it. But since I am beside Sylvester Stallone, I also like Bruce Willis. I have to admit it.
Yes.
By the way, I hope so much if one day a director comes along and tells us, Manuel, Mateusz, I want to make a movie about you guys. I hope that we will be acted by Sylvester Stallone and Bruce Willis. I hope so. Just saying.
Let's hope so, but you'll be played by Sylvester Stallone, okay?
Because I'm older than you, or what? No, but
let's say that because you're older than me.
But did you watch the movie Tears of the Sun from 2003 with Bruce Willis? Does that ring a bell? Tears of the Sun.
Yes. A long time ago, but yes.
An absolute, I mean, when it comes to all terms of propaganda, also of a good movie, because I mean, we have to say, even if we are not supporting the message of the movies are technically very often very perfect, very entertaining, and that makes them also politically very influential and dangerous. In Tears of the Sun, Bruce Willis is the commander, I think, of a special unit which shall rescue nurses, American nurses or European nurses, I'm not so sure anymore, from Rwanda during the times of the Civil War. And then they get into a situation in the movie. So they see from the forest, they are hiding somewhere, and they see how militias are storming a village. and burning down the village and killing the people. And the unit has a strict order not to interfere in anything. They have just the order to rescue the nurse. What they did in reality, of course, they were rescuing a huge amount of people and beside the nurse. So they were watching what is happening in the village. And then Bruce Willis does the lonely cowboy decision to take revenge at the militia and breaks also clearly the order not to interfere. I think that is also an innuendo. For example, when we hear today the debates about the UN mission in Bosnia, for example, I think everyone who was a little bit reading and researching about the civil war in former Yugoslavia knows that the units of the UN were often accused, or the UN itself was accused, that they didn't interfere enough in the conflict, precisely against Serbs mainly. So you almost never hear that they should have intervened against Bosnian Muslim militias or Croatian militias. It was always, of course, a very anti-Serbian thing, which is, I think, in the biggest type of scandal in this context were the events of Srebrenica in 1995.
Yes, exactly.
Which is, I think, next month, 25 years or so. So there will be big anniversary, and we will hear a lot about the Dutch UN unit, which was stationed or which had its base close to Srebrenica and which didn't intervene. I think we will hear a lot. So this heroization of Bruce Willis as the commander who broke that rule and who, for humanity and for all the good things, what intervened and what would be, if you put it on a diplomatic level, I mean, that was then not mentioned in the movie and so on, but if you put it on a diplomatic level, that could have been the reason for a big conventional war, if that would have happened in reality like this, right?
Yes, of course, you're completely right. But on the other hand, yes, some, let's say, heroic individuals in American movies break the orders even, yes. But then all those movies have quite silly happy ends, yes. That a hero comes back to United States and gets a medal or something like that, and that basically everything ends in giving him an official title of a hero and so on. Yes, so this is also the difference between all other, I would say, continental cinema and continental movies and the American ones. All their stupid, naive happy ends, showing and praising the individualistic heroes who save the world, sometimes by opposing the orders they have, yes? So it's completely unrealistic. It's also completely unrealistic when it comes to portraying the people, the main characters, because we can notice that all of the characters are so, let's say, simplicized there. So one-sided, yes, that it's really, well, I don't know why their movies and their industry was so efficient in shaping people's minds. The only explanation which comes to my mind is just, forgive us our American friends, but it's just the lack of education in the American society, I guess.
Oh, that was a punch deep into the guts.
Yes.
When we say, "Oh, please forgive us, our American friends," something really evil comes right after.
No, it was very diplomatic.
Yes, but I mean, it's true. And by the way, in a lot of German movies, the hero dies in the last 5 minutes of the 90 minutes of the movie, and I think it's in Eastern Europe also the same, that we love more the tragic heroes which sacrifice themselves for the collective, of course, yes.
Because our art, our let's say film art as well, comes from the Greek ancient traditions. and theirs is not rooted in any kind of tradition. I'm of course now, let's say, generalizing, yes, because honestly speaking, there is a lot of good stuff in United States when it comes to the movies, but I rather prefer, when it comes to the movies made by US, I rather prefer those movies who touch, let's say, social problems, psychological problems, and so on, and not the problems of contemporary history on commenting the political role of US.
You like more these calmer movies, really?
Yes, definitely.
These women, these female movies?
No, I didn't mean that. But anyway, it's more.
I will never go with you to cinema.
Anyway, it's more inspiring than Rambo. Even such films.
A little tear went down my cheek when you said that. But I mean, I think you said something. I mean, everything is very important. You said, but you said something really, really very important. That is how to counter the American Hollywood imperialism. And I think that we have all the means to do so. I think the European movie industry is very excellent and very brilliant. And I'm glad that you said this, what movies you prefer, because I was about to say, unfortunately, we do more the psychological and calmer movies. But no, I didn't mean it like that. What I mean is, I think that, or not just, let us say, not just European, but if we see what the Russians just published with Shugaley, let's say the Eurasian movie industry has all the means to encounter that attack, and maybe even to do a cultural imperialist counterattack to North America. But if we look, for example, right now when it comes to the cultural movie establishment, we know all these film festivals taking place in Cannes, in Germany, the Berlinale. I have often the impression that we are not awarding the best movies we are doing. I have often the impression we are awarding the most liberal movies we are doing, you know, with lesbian and LGBT content. I mean, even not technically very, very amazing movies, but where the awards are given for the stories and for some, it's so courageous.
And the awards are often given, excuse me for interrupting you, but the awards are often given to the people who are, let's say, political idols of the liberals. Absolutely, or to those people who personalize the current, let's say, political agenda, like, for instance, Oleg Sentsov, the Ukrainian director, who was put in jail by the Russians, by the evil Russians, of course, according to European and Western propaganda. And he is not a film director, actually, yes, but he tries to do some films. He presented himself as an artist, but actually he was sentenced by planning some terrorist attacks on Crimea, yes? Mm-hmm. And he became a hero at several European film festivals, which was purely politically motivated, because no one watched ever any of his films.
So if a Ukrainian songmaker is smart, he or she will write a song about him and win the next Grand Prix de la Chanson.
Yes, exactly.
that is.
So yes, this is the case, and even, I mean, the problem, the real problem you have touched here is, of course, the political correctness of all these elites, all those who are, let's say, the elites of European movie and art circles. Yes. This is also quite significant when it comes to their comments on the ideas of different important film directors. Have you remembered the story of Lars von Trier?
Yeah,
Yeah.
But tell the audience, please.
This was also a good example. No, just to make it short. I mean, for some of his controversial, according to the liberals, comments, yes, he was practically excluded from all events and film festivals, and then he himself boycotted them as well. Yes, but anyway, this is one. In my personal opinion, this is one of the most talented contemporary European film directors, yes. Nevertheless, he was banned for some time, yes, due to political reasons. And that comes also not about him, but also about several other really good film directors who are working in Europe. I admire, of course, also our let's say former Polish citizen, Roman Polanski, which is quite talented, and which is chased.
Please write Mateusz directly now with your protest mails and not to me. Thank you. Okay.
No, but have you watched his last movie? I mean, quite good.
I'm afraid to say yes.
Yes. No, but he's still hunted by the US at the moment being.
Yes.
By the way,
is he in Switzerland or where is he now?
In Switzerland and in France, by the Polish government as well. Yes, he was somehow hunted and discriminated. Anyway, I'm coming to the point that Europe has its problem with not with the lack of talents, yes, not with the lack of possibilities, even they have the financial possibilities, I think, but with the political correctness when it comes to the film industry, yes. Regardless the worldview the directors and film sequels have, yes. I have also another example. You have mentioned Russian cinema, yes. Let's say German and so on and so on. But we can see at the example of the countries which are not so renowned when it comes to film industry, that they also are able to produce something interesting. If we look at the Iranian movies,
yes,
of history particularly, and even about some movies which were lately produced in countries like Kazakhstan about their ancient history and so on. Yeah, so no one would expect from such countries high level and high quality movie products, but they are doing that, and they are able to do that regardless the lack of funding. Yes.
And I'm convinced that these movies from these countries will sooner or later arrive in Europe, and I'm very curious for that moment, that they become available. Hopefully with good synchronization, hopefully in good quality, also on TV. But when we look already what these services such as Netflix are offering in Europe, there are a lot of surprises included. There's not just Rambo, to say it like that.
Well, when it comes to Netflix products, I think that they are just thinking in a commercial way, and they are also trying to target some part of European population which is eager to watch something more ambitious than Rambo, of course, yes, but it's just because of the commercial target, yes.
These little needles, they hurt what you are doing.
Yes.
So let's throw in a name, because if I don't do it, I think that is not what people expect from me. I want to throw into the debate a name of a director, and that is Leni Riefenstahl. I know. Yes. If I don't do that, then it will say, why didn't he do that? He did it. He didn't do it on purpose, so I did it on purpose. So now we set the name, and now it's good. So we know now European cultural triptychon: Leni Riefenstahl, Lars von Trier, Roman Polanski. Right?
Yes. Right. Oh, by the way, I think that even some contemporary or after-war American film directors, quite talented when it comes to technical skills, were studying the works of Leni Riefenstahl. That's quite. So, I mean, she was the first when it comes to several techniques.
So a little secret hint, but maybe it is not anymore that secret. Watch the movie Starship Troopers, at least the first part. I don't know if you saw it. Did you see the movie Starship Troopers?
No, not yet, but I guess it was inspired by Leni Riefenstahl.
Absolutely. So Starship Troopers is an American movie from end of the 90s, and it bases on a very primitive novel about the Earth fleet is fighting against aliens, and the aliens are not aliens as we know them from Star Trek or Star Wars. They are bugs. So the aliens are type of intelligent bugs who are once in a while bombarding Earth with gluing lava or so they are. So and the Earth developed a fleet and a society, and that all bases, I think, on a US novel of the 1950s. Really very banal, very primitive. I mean, as we expected from American contemporary novelists. So and the Earth somehow developed a society, and I just say now how the society looks like without drawing too many conclusions. So there is a warrior class, so everyone has to go to the military and defend the Earth, and you have only your full civil rights if you served in the army. So who didn't serve in the army, I think, is not allowed to vote and is not allowed to participate in. So it's quite an interesting model. That
has very, very clear roots in the history of Sparta, yes, and of Spartan tradition.
Thank you. So, but they. If you just watch it, if you watch the design of the uniforms, if you watch also, they bring within the movie always like little in place of advertisement for the Galactic Army, or for I don't know, for the Starship Troopers. The Starship Troopers are like the Galactic Infantry or the Space Infantry. It is 100% Leni Riefenstahl was the role model, or her work was the role model for what is to be seen there. And if someone in the audience wants to spend an entertaining evening, not with too much thinking, with a lot of fun, with a lot of slime also, of course, and wants to be entertained on a trashy level. Mateusz would say not as trashy as Rambo, but I strongly recommend Starship Troopers. But the second part, I didn't see.
No, but first let's recommend something new, something from which we have started our discussion today. Shugaley.
Shugaley, yes, but then it's not a trashy movie. I think Shugaley needs a little bit more attention and less potato chips, I would say.
Definitely, yes. More wine than beer.
Yes, while Starship Troopers is beer and potato chips, and potato chips in a bucket, not just in a bag. Okay, so we learned a lot. It was very educational.
Yes, I hope we can discuss in the future several movies which are classics for us. Yes. And which have some political message as well, yes. But let's see how long does the bunker state continue, and if we'll be still sitting in the bunkers, let's recommend our listeners some movies we are impressed by in the future.
That we will do. So it was, again, a great show. Today a little bit longer, but I think the topic was very good and very entertaining. My last message goes to Hollywood, to Sylvester Stallone. Don't be angry with Mateusz. He didn't mean it that way.
Yes,
Mateusz wanted to harm me and not you. Yeah? That is important.
Exactly. Don't attack me in the next Rambo series. Okay.
With 5 bazookas to Poland.
Yes.
So thank you a lot, and hear you soon.
All the best and good health to our listeners.
This program was presented to you by Manuel Ochsenreiter and Mateusz Piskorski, the hottest dissident who won't violate any time the global rules against racism, extremism, or any other bad isms.